Al-Infitar.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إذا السماء فطرت.
When the sky splits open. So Surah Al-Infitar is also Makkiyah, and it's also with Surah Al-Takwir a description of the Qiyamah, when the sky splits open.
وإذا الكواكب انتثرت.
And when the stars fall scattering.
وإذا البحار فجرت.
And when the seas are erupted, yani they burst forth. We heard Sujjirat, yani they became on fire. Fujirat, they burst forward or burst forth.
وإذا القبور بعثرت.
And when the contents of the graves are scattered, yani everything in the graves will be spat out and exposed.
علمت نفس ما قدمت وأخرت.
A soul will then know what it has put forth and what it has kept back. Yani what it did and what it didn't do. The sins it did in the beginning and the sins it will do in the end. The good deeds it did in the beginning, the good deeds it will do in the end. And all of those, any variations.
يا أيها الإنسان ما غرك بربك الكريم.
O mankind, what has deceived you concerning your Lord, the most generous? How could you be deceived away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what pleases Him? Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, let me go first. He said, يقول تعالى معاتبا للإنسان المقصر في حق ربه. Allah Azza wa Jal rebukes the person who is falling short in the rights of his Lord. The one who المتجرئ على مساخطه, the one who is bold enough to do what angers Allah. يا أيها الإنسان ما غرك بربك الكريم. يعني is it تهاون أتهاونا منك في حقوقه أو احتقارا منك لعذابه أو عدم إيمان منك بجزائه. He said, what is it that has caused you to be like this? Is it because you don't think his rights are important? Or is it because you don't think that his punishment is severe? Or is it because you don't believe in him and his reward? Now.
الذي خلقك فسواك فعدلك.
Who created you, proportioned you, and balanced you, or gave you your design. Yani the one who created you, proportioned you, and balanced you. Or فعدلك can also be he perfected your design.
في أي سورة ما شاء ركبك.
In whatever form he willed, he has assembled you. And that's also important to understand, that the form you have, this is why there is such a severe punishment for changing the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because you are as Allah created you. How Allah created you. That's, for example, people say, why can we not have, for example, cosmetic surgery? Why, if I don't like my nose, can I not make my nose thinner, or can I not make it different, or less of less crooked, or whatever? Cosmetic, not for medical reasons, just because I don't like it. Allah is the one who created you, how He created you. It's not befitting for you to be to go to what Allah Azza wa Jal created and be unhappy with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. Now, we're not saying about the things that you have the ability to change, which is in your hands, like, for example, your weight or your health or your these type of things. But a person, for example, like we said, cosmetic surgery and so on, you have to remember Allah Azza wa Jal is how this person is, how Allah created them. And also from this is the prohibition of making fun of people because of how they look. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gave them their forms as He willed for a wisdom that is with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala.
كلا بل تكذبون بالدين.
No, but you deny the recompense. The insan who is ما غرك بربك الكريم, the one who was deceived with regard to Allah, denies the recompense now.
وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ.
And indeed appointed over you are keepers, yani angels who preserve your deeds.
كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ.
Noble and recording, any writing down. In other words, the angels that are recording your deeds are noble angels. The one on the right and the one on the left. They are noble angels. And they are writing down what you do.
يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ.
They know whatever you do. There is a mas'ala. Does the angel know what is in your heart? Because the asl is that only Allah Azza wa Jal knows what's in your heart, right? إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلِيمٌ بِذَاتِ الصُّدُورِ. However, the answer is that Allah will give the angel the ability to know what is related to a good deed or a bad deed. Because there are a'malul qulub, there are actions of the heart, like loving Allah and fearing Allah and hoping in Allah. And there are actions of the heart, which are, for example, issues that are haram, like superstitions or whatever it might be. For these things that are in the heart, Allah will give the angels the ability to know them because they are good deeds or bad deeds that need to be written down. But as for complete knowledge of the heart and everything that it contains, no one knows what is in the heart and everything that it contains except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah gives the angels the ability to write down that which is related to what they need to write. That which is a good deed or a bad deed. So the angels are given the ability to know it. يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ.
إِنَّ الْأَبْرَارَ لَفِي نَعِيمٍ.
Indeed, the righteous will be in pleasure.
وَإِنَّ الْفُجَّارَ لَفِي جَحِيمٍ.
And indeed, the wicked will be in hellfire.
يَصْلَوْنَهَا يَوْمَ الدِّينِ.
They will enter to burn in it on the day of recompense.
وَمَا هُمْ عَنْهَا بِغَائِبِينَ.
And never therefrom will they be absent.
وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ.
And what can make you know what the day of recompense is?
ثُمَّ مَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ.
Then what can make you know what is the day of recompense?
يَوْمَ لَا تَمْلِكُ نَفْسٌ لِنَفْسٍ شَيْئًا وَالْأَمْرُ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلَّهِ.
It is the day when a soul will not possess for another soul the power to do a thing. And the command that day is entirely with Allah. Meaning nobody will be able to do anything for anyone else. Not the prophets. What did the Prophet say to Fatima? He said, "Oh Fatima, I cannot help you against Allah in anything." And this is a fundamental belief that Muslims have, that it doesn't matter who you are. Hatta the angel Jibreel, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they cannot do anything to help you against Allah. Only if Allah gives them permission, so they can intercede for you or ask for you or whatever it might be. But with Allah's permission only. And they cannot independently do anything to help you. And if they cannot do anything to help you, then there is nobody else that can do anything to help you. لا ملك مقرب ولا نبي مرسل. No angel that is near to Allah and no prophet that was sent to mankind can do anything to help you on that day. Look at the people go to the prophets. They go to Adam, they go to Musa, they go to Ibrahim, they go to Isa. At each time, what do they say? Nafsi, nafsi, myself, myself. I can't do anything for you on that day. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ asks Allah for the judgment to start. Why? Because he's given permission by Allah to do it. Otherwise, he's not allowed to ask for the judgment to start or anything else. No one can benefit anyone on that day. The command is entirely with Allah. In reality, the command is with Allah every day. لِلَّهِ الْأَمْرُ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَمِنْ بَعْدُ. To Allah belongs the command before and after. However, on that day, no one will compete with Allah in command. And no one will claim, I have control, I can do. Nobody will claim it. Everybody will confess that the command on that day belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And that is the end of Surah Al-Infitar, and we go to Surah Al-Mutaffifin.